Brightness either side, and then a rash of showers spreading in across many western parts through the day, and again these could be heavy. But it's the strength of the wind once again we need to focus on, with further warnings in force throughout the day. Slowly settling down into the early part of next week with more sunshine and temperatures lifting as well.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before. It's basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Well, your weekend starts here, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between. I'm Patrick Christys. Strap yourselves in for a night that you'll never forget. Let's get cracking, shall we? This is Friday Night Feast. We've got it all tonight. Is net zero in the big green agenda just a middle-class fad that will bankrupt us, turn us into benefits Britain? We've got a debate on what's more important as well, the environment or the economy. Now, I want to see your energy bills, OK? So don't be shy, send them in. How much have they gone up by? Share your pain with us here by emailing us gbviews@gbnews.uk. And, of course, you can tweet us as well at gbnews. We'll show some of them a little later in the show. I want to hammer it home. And yeah, I think we all know how that ends.
Feels like more of a man than I've ever felt.
And, of course, this now is the only story about wags that I really actually care about. Yes, we tried to rehome Colleen Rooney. No. OK. We'll be trying to give a rescue dog a forever home. And this week, meet little Forrest. You can see him there. He's at a rescue centre in Kent. Can you give this real character a loving home? That's what we plan to do tonight on Friday Night Feast in our regular feature, imaginatively called Dog of the Week. So how did we come up with that, hey? I'll also be giving my views on why you're not racist if you'd rather house a Ukrainian refugee than someone from, say, Syria. And much, much more between now and 9 o'clock. Pour yourselves a large G&T, lock yourselves in. All that to come after the news. Brought to you tonight by Tamsin Roberts.
Patrick, thank you. Good evening from the GB newsroom. Ukraine has warned Belarus could launch an invasion of the country this evening. Ukraine's armed forces claim Russia staged what they called a false flag attack in Belarus to try to pull the country into Moscow's war. It follows a meeting between Russian President Vladimir Putin and his Belarusian counterpart Alexander Lukashenko today. Earlier, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says his country has reached a strategic turning point in its war with the Kremlin. An advisor to the president urged Belarus not to join the conflict.
I would like to notify and repeat once again what we have said a long time ago. We do not plan to fight against Belarusians, and you must not allow to be dragged into this criminal venture which Russia is provoking deliberately by using your military infrastructure, airfields and firing Iskander systems from your territory. This is a direct provocation strike against Ukrainian territory and then a strike against Belarusian territory. Please share this video and do not allow to be dragged into a war. You don't need it.
The US president has announced new sanctions against Russia, including an import ban on seafood, alcohol and diamonds. It follows the UK's Foreign Secretary sanctioning almost 400 members of the Russian Parliament. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen also announced a fourth package of sanctions which will deny Russia privileged treatment in European economies. President Joe Biden has said the US would also be imposing sanctions on banking executives and members of the Duma.
The G7 is also stepping up pressure on corrupt Russian billionaires. We're adding new names to the list of oligarchs and their families that we're targeting. They support Putin. They steal from the Russian people, and they seek to hide their money in our countries. They're part of that kleptocracy that exists in Moscow. And they must share in the pain of these sanctions.
The mayor of Kiev says residents are returning to fight against Russia. Vitaly Klitschko says there are around 2 million people still in Ukraine's capital and that there are enough supplies to last a couple of weeks. He also says supply lines in and out remain open for now.
And a lot of men and women. I'm proud of our women standing strong, coming back, defending the country. This is our home. We cannot leave somewhere. This is our home.
The Mayor of Kiev speaking there. TV, online and DAB Plus radio. This is GB News. Now let's get straight back to Patrick and Friday Night Feast.
Well, it's a big show tonight. Now, like I said, get in touch and email us with your energy bills. I want to see the true impact of the big green agenda on you. But first, here's why you are not a racist. So, we keep being told that our response to the Ukrainian refugee crisis shows what a racist little country we are. In reality, the opposite is true. The We Heart Refugees gang can't seem to make their minds up about what element of our approach to refugees they don't like. But they won't let that stop them now, will they? As far as I can tell, they say we're racist because we're either too slow to take in Ukrainian refugees or because people are more inclined to want to take a Ukrainian refugee into their homes than one from the Middle East. Well, let's deal with each of those in turn, shall we? Why are we, quotes, too slow to take in Ukrainian refugees? Well, could it possibly be because we've already accepted a lot of people from other parts of the world? Could it be that we have around 37,000 asylum seekers and Afghan refugees living in hotels at a cost of £4.7 million per day? Could it be that we have 84,000 pending asylum cases on top of that? The irony here is that we may not have as much room as we'd like for predominantly white Ukrainian refugees because we've already taken in loads of people from different ethnic and religious backgrounds. Now, that hardly seems racist to me. In 2020, the top 5 most common countries of nationality of people seeking asylum in the UK were Iran, Iraq, Albania, Eritrea and Sudan. Of all refugees resettled in the UK from January 2010 to December 2020, around 70% were Syrian. In terms of conventional migration, India very often tops the rankings. Pakistan and Bangladesh also usually come near the top of our list as well. Now, that doesn't appear to be too racist as far as I can tell either. And then there's the notion that we're racist because some people would rather take a Ukrainian refugee into their homes than one from, say, Syria. Well, I don't put that down to racism. I put that down to a variety of very reasonable, understandable and natural factors. The Ukrainian population is overwhelmingly Christian. In terms of LGBT rights, gays, lesbians and bisexuals are allowed to serve in the military, transgender people are allowed to change gender, and there are protections against discrimination in the workplace, although of course there are other areas such as adoption and marriage where they do lag behind the UK. Crucially though, they don't have sections of society who want to throw gay people off buildings or execute them, which is quite a big deal, really. Now, in terms of women's rights, women in Ukraine have equal constitutional rights as men in the economic, political, cultural and social fields, as well as in the family. So I think there is more of a sense of shared value system there, perhaps more cultural similarities. And then again, of course, it's natural to be more accepting towards that. And the vast majority of these refugees are women whose identities are completely known to us. Compare that to the majority of those coming over the channel. At the end of the day, we are asking people to take total strangers into their homes. Would you feel safer taking a man or a woman? Again, is it unnatural to suggest that people may be more inclined to throw their doors open to the Ukrainians? In addition, we have to ask why these women are actually alone. Well, in many cases, that's because their husbands have stayed behind to defend their country. The implication being that they would like to return home one day, isn't it? So for those more inclined to take in a Ukrainian than, say, a Syrian refugee, could that well be because it appears more like a temporary charitable gesture with the Ukrainians? Again, that's not an unnatural way to look at things, and there's certainly no racism involved in that. There are logical, practical and reasonable reasons why, A, we may have been a bit slow to accommodate Ukrainians, and B, why people may feel more inclined to open up their homes to this particular group of refugees. Those are not racist because we are not a racist country. Right, well, joining me tonight on Friday Night Feast is the author, lawyer, loose woman and detective Rebecca Jane, and the former Apprentice star, business owner, and it's fair to say man about town. It's Tom Skinner. Fantastic stuff. Well, look, let's initially get the reaction from you guys to what I've just said there. I know it's maybe a little bit of a heavier start to the show, but Tom, I'll start with you. Do you think that we've been a bit slow to take in Ukrainian refugees? Do you buy this narrative that that's because we're racist?
No, look, we ain't racist, and it's a terrible thing that's going on. You know, it's very hard hitting, but it's a political thing as well, isn't it? But I don't know really the answer to it, mate, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, what about you, Rebecca? Do you think that there are elements of racism involved in the way that we've decided to go about our refugee policy with Ukrainians?
I think that white privilege is definitely a thing.
OK.
But that being said, I think a person in need is a person in need, and we should do everything that we possibly can. I don't think there's as much call to take Syrian refugees as what there is to take Ukrainian ones. But equally, yes, I do think that we have been quite slow to do that.
Yeah, and do you buy the argument, though, that maybe we've got a bit more in common kind of culturally? Could that be it?
Yeah. And when you said that, I was like, yeah, this makes more sense because they seem... It all feels so much more relatable to us, doesn't it? Because they seem so close to us. And it seems like they're living the lives that we live. Whereas, you know, other countries and whatnot do have very different value systems and things. And I think that that's quite hard for some of our people to actually get their heads around. Yeah,
I agree. Now, with you, would you take in a Ukrainian refugee?
Of course, listen. Yeah. Like, anyone is welcome in my house. I don't care who you are.
You want to watch saying that on national television?
No, I don't
just remind you where we are and what we're doing.
I promise you that. Anyone come in my house, like, and anyone in there. No, they can. Of course they can. I don't care. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. All right. Well, look, news broke earlier today that Vladimir Putin has bombed a care home for people with disabilities near the city of Kharkiv. Now, on Wednesday, the bombing of a maternity hospital in Mariupol sparked mass condemnation around the world, but Putin's response was to say that this was all fake news and that the victims were crisis actors. In fact, the embassy right here pretty much said just that. He even accused a woman in labour with a gaping wound on her leg of being nothing more than an Instagram star for hire. We wanted to get to the bottom of this and clear it up once and for all. So joining me is Chris Phillips. He's a security advisor to crisis actors. There you go. Chris was also, of course, in the military. So, I mean, we've killed two birds with one stone, for want of a better phrase here. Chris, thank you very much for giving up part of your Friday evening to come on Friday Night Feast. Firstly, what is a crisis actor?
Well, a crisis actor is actually just an actor who happens to be employed for that moment to make a film. I mean, actually, this is not about crisis actors. This the stuff that's been floated about on the internet and the little videos and things almost invariably are other bits of video, maybe from a war film or from some other film or television program that's then been repurposed by someone in their little social media world to turn that into something that's up to date and current, which it isn't.
Yeah. Do you buy at all the Kremlin narrative that there has been some, I suppose, crisis acting or at least fake news when it comes to Russian attacks?
Well, there's no need for fake news. It's clearly happening there. I think there are going to be people, and it may well be people in Russia that are making films that are clearly incorrect, repurposing old bits of video. But let me tell you, crisis actors, it's a really, really important thing. I mean, crisis acting and actually running crisis is about preparing people for dealing with emergencies. And some, you know, we're telling people now, particularly around terrorism, that they...
Yeah, I mean, how difficult would it actually be to organise? Let's just say some of the things that the Russians have said have been, yeah, OK, repurpose films or whatever. They have also accused people of being Instagram stars for hire, etc., crisis actors being one of them. How difficult would it be to actually pull that off? At the end of the day, we would have to watch these videos on Twitter. It would seem like a massive operation to blow up a maternity hospital or something that at least looked like one and stage the whole thing.
Yeah, well, you just wouldn't do it. You'd have to be some kind of a major organisation to do that. No, this is actually using bits of video that, as I say, you know, Die Hard as an example. They're blowing things up all the time, and you could use a little bit of that video and put a script on the front of it that makes it look more up to date. So crisis acting is about preparing people, preparing organisations to deal with crisis. It's not about crisis actors don't get involved in the nonsense that's been spouted from Russia.
No, so they wouldn't absolutely be in a war zone. I mean, it'd be an absolutely incredible feat, wouldn't it, if you managed to import a load of crisis actors into the middle of Kharkiv, for example, or somewhere that looked a bit like it, and then doctor the whole thing. What are some of the crisis actor type things that you've been a part of then?
Well, every major company needs to put their management through a big incident. So, as an example, during the run up to the Olympics in London, we were using actors to pretend that things had happened, so that the management then had to react to that. And this is great stuff because managers are actually put through real difficult situations, and as though they're real, and they have to react to it. And then those companies are much more prepared should an incident take place. I mean, another good example was in Manchester. I think they ran a terrorist exercise so that the local emergency services would know what to do if the real thing happened.
Indeed. Now, just moving away from the crisis actor side of things, we are hearing reports that Belarus may be about to join the fight, may be about to invade Ukraine. Of course, all of this is unconfirmed at the moment, but it is a possibility. And ladies and gentlemen at home, it's worth noting as well that there is a possibility that this might happen whilst we're live on air. So we will try and give you the latest on that if indeed it does. But your view on that, why would Belarus be joining in? What could the impact of that be? You are, of course, a military man yourself.
Well, I'm more police, actually, than military, but certainly on this subject. Listen, Putin's getting his backside kicked at the moment. He wants this over and done with within a few days. That's not happened, and it's clearly not going to happen. The Ukrainians have reacted in such a fantastic way to this threat that he is now in big trouble, and he will call on any resources that he can get a hold of. And the Belarusians, of course, are very much hand in hand with Putin, and I think will probably be only too willing to help him out in this situation. Listen, this is not good news for anyone. The less people that are involved in this terrible situation in Ukraine, the better. And of course, what the Ukrainians don't want is another fresh load of people coming in to join the fight.
What could this mean for the potential for escalation and Western involvement?
Well, I don't think there's much likelihood of that at the moment. This is not a NATO country. NATO don't have to get involved, but that could change very quickly at any time. And to be quite frank, public opinion, is moving towards actually giving more help to the Ukrainians, and that's understandable because they are the innocent victims in all this. Of course, when you see the big bully taking on the smaller person, then you want to help. And of course, this can very easily escalate, and very easily and quickly escalate into something that could, eventually turn into World War III. So we've just got to be careful not to do that.
You said there that you think Putin's getting his backside kicked. A lot of people would disagree with that. A lot of people say that actually he's more than content to play a longer game. Yes, he probably would have wanted it over a little bit quicker, but he's not that bothered about it. He doesn't care about how many troops he loses, and he's in it for the long haul. And as well, of course, this idea that a lot of the Russians might rise up against him. Well, hang on a minute. They might start looking east. They might start going towards China, etc., instead of deposing their leader. What do you think about all of that?
Well, certainly there's a real thought that Putin thought this would be all over within 2 or 3 days, that the Ukrainian government would disappear, he would then take over. The UK and the West wouldn't have time to put sanctions in. None of that has happened. All of that has gone against him. The Ukrainians are and will put up a big fight there, and I think they will continue to do this. But what we see, of course, is then Putin not going to back down and being more indiscriminate with his weapons, and that's the situation we're in at the moment. I think that we've got to be careful that this doesn't just become, absolutely horrific. But he definitely wanted this over and done with within a few days. That hasn't happened, and what we've seen around Kiev is that situation not changing very quickly. The Ukrainians are putting up such a good fight.
Good stuff, Chris. Thank you very much. Chris Phillips there, of course, security advisor to crisis actors, dispelling the myth, I think, really, that actually this idea of that bombing of the maternity hospital was indeed a crisis actor situation, but also giving his words of wisdom when it comes to the fact that, yep, you heard correctly, unfortunately, it looks as though maybe Belarus may be about to join the fight against Ukraine whilst we're live on air. But I just want to throw back over to my panel now. Tom, do you think Putin's lost it?
I think he's gone a bit mad, yeah. He's look, you see the pictures in the news of, like, even when he's having his meetings with his own people, he's sitting 30, 40 metres away because he's so scared of COVID. I think he's a scared person, and I think this is what he's trying to give something and achieve something before he's out and his time's up. And I think he's been dwelling for 2 years during COVID and sent himself mental.
Where would your red line be about us getting involved militarily? Chemical weapons, nuclear weapons?
Oh, crikey. Sounds awful to say, but can we just not get involved?
At all, so no matter. No, it's fine, because any view is a decent enough view, and there are lots of people who would agree with you on that. Even if Putin dropped nukes on Kiev, you think leave it?
I don't know enough about war to have a definitive answer to that, but yes, I feel fearful of Putin because he is absolutely mad as a box of frogs and could do absolutely anything, and he could absolutely just start chucking bombs anywhere. So, yeah, for me, it might be the wrong opinion, but I'm out.
That's fair enough. Well, look, where do you stand on this, ladies and gentlemen? Where are your red lines? GBviews at gbnews.uk. We're hearing significant reports that Putin may be about to use chemical weapons. But next on Friday Night Feast, it's our big debate on the cost of living crisis. And remember, I also want to hear from you on this. I want to know how much your energy bills and your gas bills have gone up by. So send in your energy bills, but if you're ready, GBviews at gbnews.uk. We'll go to those very, very shortly. You can tweet us as well at GBnews. Don't be shy. I'll read out a selection of your messages later in the show. But I went out and about and found out what the great British public thought about this very issue. Have a look.
Everybody, Patrick Christys here, out and about once more for GB News. Now, apparently, we're all about to start feeling the pinch. Gas prices going up, energy prices going up, cost of food, cost of fuel, everything. We're all going to be absolutely skint. Now, I decided to come to a place called Harwich in Essex. It regularly tops the charts and one of the more deprived parts of the United Kingdom. It's got quite a high crime rate, as well as one would expect with an area like that. And so these people, one would assume, would be least able to afford this big squeeze. Let's find out how they feel about it. Are you worried about your bills going up?
Yeah.
How worried? What's the situation for you?
Very worried, because I tried even going on the comparison sites and it's not showing like you can select any tariff because the companies have pulled out, and I'm just getting a massive bill at the end of a month. I'm on like a fixed tariff, and it started with like 50 quid. I'm a working single dad, and it's a little bit hard when all of a sudden at the end of the month you have an extensive bill coming up.
I hope you don't think I'm prying too much. Can you pay it?
I can, but it's a struggle.
Everything is going up, isn't it? Everything. You go to the supermarket, you go for your fuel, your bills, and I guess the council tax will go up again when it comes out in April, so everything is going up, yeah.
Do you think there's going to be a lot of people around here who just won't be able to pay their bills?
Most. It's not as much as an if, it's as much as most people around here will be crippled. There's food banks around here, but the food banks around here have kind of fizzled up because there's nothing for them either.
Especially the electric and gas. One of the people I know, they were quoted something like, I think it was £90 a month.
Wow. That's a big increase to take.
Yeah, it is, yeah, especially as he's not earning a great deal of money.
Are you worried about Britain going skint? A lot of people might not be able to pay.
Well, that is a worry, of course.
but we have to deal with the situation we're in. You know, Britain's gone skint a few times in the past.
Most of us are pensioners around this area, and the bills are going up. The pensions aren't.
Are you concerned it might get to a situation where you can't pay?
It could get to that situation, yes.
These are the people who are going to feel the pinch the most, so it's good to get their views. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be confronted by a very serious question. Do you care more about the environment or the economy? And when we come back from this short advert break, we're going to be having that debate. Stay tuned.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
Basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, wherever you look, you can't escape the fact that Britain is in the grip of a cost of living crisis. Is it going to turn us into bankrupt benefits Britain? Energy bills are soaring. Inflation is currently running at 5.5%, the highest for almost 30 years. And some places are now charging a scarcely believable £2 for a litre of petrol. The government has announced a £9 billion package to help families affected by rocketing gas and electricity prices. But many people say they're not doing enough. Many people say, I can't pay, I won't pay. At a time, though, when the UK's national debt is more than £2 trillion, can the government really afford to intervene? It's us paying for it at the end of the day. Well, to debate whether or not benefits need to be hiked to cope with this crisis, I'm joined now by Nick Buckley, who's a charity founder and author of Lessons in Courage, and also Christopher Snowden, who's the head of lifestyle economics at the Institute of Economic Affairs. Thank you very much, both. I'm just going to get stuck right into it, actually, with you, Nick. Do we need to hike benefits to make sure that these people who can't pay essentially don't lose their properties and stuff like that?
It's a very difficult question. The question should be, how did we get here in the first place? Another sticking plaster on benefits. What's that going to solve for the medium to long term? People are in trouble today. I get that. I speak to people every day.
Yeah, well, sorry to interrupt, but just quickly, I'll stick with you there, Nick. I mean, I'm worried that we're going to end up in a situation, we heard from members of the public there, I've got people now flooding in with their gas and electricity bills, and they are going through the roof. Loads of these people will not be able to pay that, so what happens? Do we not have to give them benefits to help?
Instead of automatically going to benefits, there's other things we can do. So if you look at your electricity bill, 25% of that is a green tax, and 5% of it is VAT. We can get rid of it almost a third of your electricity bill if the government stopped taking money out of your pocket. There's lots of things like this we can do. We don't want to be beggars. We don't want the government to give us things because it's ours anyway. How about the government stop taking the money off us in the first place?
OK. Christopher Snowden, now I'll throw over to you. Is our big green agenda going to turn us into benefits Britain?
The big green agenda, well, it's just another enormous cost. I mean, I think people are waking up to this cost of net zero. It's only been about 6 months since the climate conference up in Glasgow, and already I think people are starting to realise, even though we're not seeing anywhere near the full cost of it yet, they're starting to think that we've made a big mistake by not having secure energy in the United Kingdom. I totally agree what Nick's just said there. Yeah, cut the taxes. The huge amount of the cost of petrol is tax. We don't need to have VAT on people's fuel. We should get rid of these things. But let's not be naive about it. That's only different in kind to giving people benefits. It's still going to mean that the government has a shortfall. The government's had a shortfall for 20 years now. It's never run a surplus, keeps running a deficit. We've got nearly £2.5 trillion debt. The economy and the public finances are fundamentally in a very bad place. And the COVID crisis, followed by the cost of living crisis and the crisis in Ukraine, has really exacerbated that and brought it to a serious head. We're in big trouble now as a country.
Nick, do you care more about the economy or the environment?
Oh, I'll be honest. It's definitely the economy. I hardly care about the environment because as a people, we make sure it's fine by itself. We are going down almost like a lunatic asylum route of this green agenda and this net zero. And almost everybody I know really don't care about it.
Christopher, same to you. Do you care more about the economy or the environment?
Well, when it comes down to it, the economy, and most people do when it comes down to it, support for the net zero agenda is kind of broad but very shallow. As soon as people realise what it actually means to them personally, they're in favour of other people taking public transport, other people making sacrifices. But when it comes down to them personally, unless they're very affluent, they're not prepared to make that sacrifice. And I think that's always been a problem. It doesn't matter whether it's the most important thing in the world for Britain to go to net zero. It's not politically feasible. It never has been. I've been saying this for some time. You in a democracy, you cannot do it. And the dictatorships have no real interest in doing it. In fact, the very few countries outside Britain have any real interest in doing it, and it doesn't make any difference if we do it if nobody else does.
Christopher, why do you think the world's politicians allowed themselves to get held to ransom by a dumpy Swedish teenager?
Well, they like the idea of it, and look, let's be fair here. I mean, the science overwhelmingly does say that something needs to be done about this in a fairly short space of time. But I just fear it's the kind of, if the problem is as big as we're being told, I don't see any solution to it in terms of cutting climate change emissions. Apart from anything else, the world's population is just rising so incredibly rapidly, and the world's population, generally speaking, is getting richer, is going to use more stuff and ultimately use more energy. So I just don't think it's possible. I think we have to try and adapt to it rather than stop it.
Nick, you obviously work at a charity. You founded a charity, of course. And are you concerned, then, that actually there might be the possibility of some kind of rebellion if everyone starts going skint?
Oh, absolutely. I'm beginning to have a feeling like I did at the beginning of the 80s when Margaret Thatcher was trying to remould the economy. Some people say destroy the economy. The feeling I have at the moment is people have had enough. And once you start, and people could put up with a lot if they've still got money in the pocket, but everybody I know at the moment is scared. We've had 2 years of being fed a diet of fear because of COVID. And now we're being told our energy is increasing, our food's increasing. And even though it's not even hit us really yet, we may think it has, but it hasn't. People are terrified. And if this carries on and the government doesn't get a grip, that's why I think the government will get a grip. I think taxes will come down. I think the government will spend money on this, even if we have to go into more debt, because they don't want social disturbances across the country, especially in our cities.
Christopher, do you think Boris Johnson's going to find it quite hard to justify to a single mum of three, say, who's struggling to put food on the table, why he filled up a lot of our fracking sites with concrete?
Quite possibly, and I hope somebody asks him that question. That's another mistake, isn't it? No, this has not happened overnight. There have been external shocks that nobody could predict. The Russia-Ukraine war obviously is one of them. COVID was one of them. There's a number of factors that have led to this cost of living crisis that nobody could do much about. And I think the government did have to spend a lot of money and borrow a lot of money to deal with COVID. But there are a lot more important long-term problems, such as our failure to invest in nuclear, such as the moratorium on fracking, that have really damaged us. And this isn't some Damascene conversion on the part of people who are criticising the government now. People have been saying this for a very, very long time. This be taken offline without bringing anything in to replace it other than wind, which is nowhere near sufficient for our needs.
Yeah, Nick, I'll just throw over to you. We're going to wrap this up very shortly. But do you think that the big green agenda, I suppose, the net zero stuff, is the kind of thing that people can care about if they've got a sprawling estate in Hampstead and they've got a bottle of Shut Enough to Pap outside, maybe near the fire pit, and a lovely dog out there as well. But actually, your average Joe on the street just can't afford it, and these toffs don't get that.
Absolutely, they don't get it, and it's taken us decades to get here. And the reason why we're in this mess now mainly is because of our 4 or 5 year political cycle. Our politicians only ever look 4 or 5 years ahead because they only want votes. So to make decisions now to affect our economy and affect our fuel prices will be 10, 15 years in the future before you get benefits from that. But they're not here then. So they don't want to give someone else the benefit, another politician, the benefit and the votes that will be generated 15 years from now. They only worry about 4 years from now. And that's the crux of all our problems, all our social problems. No longevity in any thinking.
Christopher, are you frack?
Yeah, I'll go with frack and absolutely agree with what Nick says there. That is the problem. It's a short-termism, and it's a short-termism that leads to this endlessly piling on debt. And so I think Nick's quite right that the government will end up buckling to this pressure, and it's there's plenty of genuine sob stories out there. People are really gonna struggle, as they did with COVID, as they have done for various things over the years. But because the public finances aren't sound, we're going to end up printing money. Effectively, we call it borrowing, but we're actually going to get the Bank of England to print the money. We're going to print money to deal with inflation. Anybody who knows their economic history knows that that is not a wise move. It's only going to make things worse in the long term. But as Nick says, politicians don't think in the long term.
Well, it's time for me to tell both of you to frack right off now, I'm afraid. Nick Buckley, thank you very much, charity founder and author of Lessons in Courage, and Christopher Snowdon as well, head of lifestyle economics at the Institute of Economic Affairs. Time to bring my box office panel back into play. Now, Tom, you run a successful business. How's the cost of living affecting you? You run a few successful businesses.
My bunch this week, my fuel bill was over £400 more than what it normally is. And what I can't understand with fuel thing is that back in 2008, oil was, peaked $150 a barrel, yet it still traded at $111, right? So how comes back then? It was like just over £1 a litre for petrol, yet now it's £2. It makes no sense, do you know what I mean? Because it ain't there to buy, and then loosen up more oil supplies anyway, But it ain't just that, like, I've seen people, I speak to customers every single day, we speak to hundreds of customers, and they're all saying the same thing. We sell beds and mattresses and pillars, and they're saying, look, we want to buy a bed, but we're going to have to wait till the end of the month. We'll see what's happening, because we've got our energy bills just rose up, and people are worried. Everything I look at, people are scared to spend money at the minute, and it's wrong with what's going on.
Yeah, Rebecca, just throw it to you now. You were watching some of those Vox Pops, we call them there, the interviews with members of the public, and you were saying your bills are pretty high, to be fair.
They're high already. I had a guy coming out servicing my boiler this week, and he actually told me that my bills are ridiculous already. So I pay about $130 a month just in gas now. And I don't live in a sprawling mansion, but it is a bit ridiculous, and I am concerned about what it is actually going to achieve. And for me, we're in about net zero, green zero, and all that agenda. You need the buy-in of the people, and the people are not going to buy in when they're too focused on how they're going to spend their money and if they're going to be able to eat.
Absolutely. Well, look, thank you very much, both of you. We'll obviously come back to you throughout the show. Loads of you at home have been a great reaction to this. Thank you, everyone. Have been sending in your energy bills and your gas bills, and goodness me, there are some absolute shockers out there. We're going to go to them shortly. Next, though, on Friday Night Feast, it's time for Patrick's hat-trick. As Dizzy Rascal goes bonkers and an Arsenal fan couldn't keep his hair on. I'll see you in 2 minutes.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
It's basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Welcome back, everybody. It's time now for Patrick's Hat Trick, when I take a look at some of the videos and images that have gone viral on social media this week. We start with Dizzy Rascal, who had a UK #1 in 2009 with a track called Bonkers. He smashed a photographer's camera just a few minutes after being found guilty of assaulting his ex-partner. So there we are. There he is, Dizzy. Fantastic stuff. Dizzy pushed the camera in the face of PA photographer James Manning and then threw it across the road. So look at him. I mean, that is in pieces now, isn't it? Tom, you had some words for Dizzy if he'd have dared to do that with one of your cameras.
I'd have knocked him out if he'd done that in my camera.
Have you seen Dizzy Rascal? Have you seen Dizzy Rascal? He looks like he's got quite a bit about him. You think you could have him?
I think so, yeah.
Well, he's here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Dizzy Rascal. OK, all right. What do you make of that? You are trained to be a lawyer.
Yes, in criminal defence.
In criminal, could you defend that?
Well, you can't excuse that, can you? It just absolutely proves the point that he was right to be found guilty, because what a moron. Who goes and does that after they've just been found guilty?
Indeed. All right, well, time for the... well, that was...
I do love his music, though.
Do you? Yeah. Well, you're not going to get invited. You're not going to get invited to any of his concerts now. And this is, obviously not the best move for Dizzy. But we're going to move on now, of course, to a story that could have had one football fan tearing his hair out. If only he had some to tear out. Now, a photo of Arsenal supporter Ashley Day went viral following his side's game at Watford last Sunday. I think we can see it now. Poor bloke. So for those of us listening on radio, this is a chap with... Well, he's Friar Tuck, essentially, who's also an Arsenal fan, but he's put a little toupee on. It's one of those glued ones. Clearly, Arsenal have scored for once, and he's got up, someone's got up, maybe ruffled the back of his hair, and it's just flapped up, so he's got a wig kind of tufted up, stuck to the back of his head. It's a poor bloke, really. Anyway, a tweet showing Ashley's wig, and more importantly, his bald head, has been retweeted more than 4,000 times, bless him. George Bateman took the photo, and he wrote, "Arsenal go one up, and so did this geezer's syrup." So, fantastic, there we are. But fair play to Ashley, he took it in good spirits. We can see him there. He stood now posing for a picture of himself at the stadium, and he tweeted a photo of himself that was taken earlier in that day. So, before I lost my hair, bless him. Also, Ashley tweeted a photo of his wig on its own and said, "Thanks a lot." Tom, you got a decent head of hair, haven't you? But if worse came to worse, do you think you'd wig up?
I was going to see what glue you use on your one.
Yeah, just... no, I'm actually doing remarkably all right. I've got many, many physical flaws. I will never go bald, though. That's well, a good one of mine.
This is all fake.
Is it actually?
No, of course not.
No, it looks pretty real. But so you would never... Do you think you'd embrace the bald?
Nah, if I go bald, I go bald. Do you know what I mean? I just look like I've been swimming with a swimming cap on, wouldn't I?
I suppose that's one way of looking at it. You've got a cracking head of hair.
Yeah, it's about 2 heads of hair of other
Is
people's.
it?
This is not real.
No, fair enough. OK, well, look, anyway, the final part of Patrick's Hat-Trick this week involves a person who went on virtual reality machine. But it's fair to say that things didn't go quite according to plan. Take a look at this. Oh, my God.
no.
Right, should we just take another quick look at that, shall we? I mean, so for anyone who's watching on listening on radio, this is a girl who strapped herself into a virtual reality machine. So she's got the headset on, she can't see what's happening. And the virtual reality machine, easy for me to say, goes a bit nuts. It goes a bit bonkers and she tips off. I do wonder whether or not you'd ever fancy having a go on that, Rebecca?
No, absolutely not.
No?
There's nothing virtual about that. You're fully on the floor.
I wonder at what point she realised that it wasn't a virtual reality.
She's got the headset on,
She's
so
got the
she might
headset
have
on.
thought that's part of the ride.
This is really immersive,
This feels real, this does. Poor girl.
Oh, my gosh. Well, there we go. Poor girl. Anyway, it's almost time for Dog of the Week, but first, here's the heartwarming story of a dog who was rescued from freezing cold water in Michigan. Check this out. So we can see a little video of it now. The Labradoodle, who's only just been adopted, actually, ran away from his new owner and jumped in the water. Now, he managed to clamber onto a chunk of ice, but was slowly drifting away from police officers and firefighters who were trying their very best to rescue this dog. Fortunately, however, one man was able to drag it to safety. You can see it there, of course. Basically, the dog's got one of those hooks around its neck and he's being hoisted up, isn't he? Even up a ladder, bless it. Oh, my gosh. Because normally when people going off the water after their dogs, it's this dog that survives and the person comes off worst. But there we go. Anyway, that worked out rather well, I think. But you're a massive dog fan, aren't you?
Love dogs, yeah.
How many have you got?
I've got 2 that are mine, but I go walking with a couple of my mates in the morning, so we've got like loads, like a little team of dogs every morning. I go over the fields and like it's good. I just love dogs, mate. They're the nuts.
They are. You're a dog person as well, aren't you?
They're the nuts.
They are.
They're the nuts. Yes, I am a dog person. I used to have 3, and now I don't have any.
Oh.
It's a lot of commitment. I've got commitment issues.
OK, fair enough. Well, anyway, talking of which, now as promised, to Dog of the Week, where we always rehome a rescue dog. Today, we're hoping to help Forrest find his forever home. Now, I must warn you that you're going to fall in love with Forrest, OK? He's not here. I've got a dog in the studio later on, but Forrest wasn't available this evening. His agent said he was too busy. Forrest is a 5-year-old Sprocker. For those that don't know, that's a cross between a Springer Spaniel and a Cocker Spaniel.
Oh, wow.
And as you'd expect, Forrest is a bundle of energy, to say the least. He's with the Last Chance Animal Sanctuary in New Romney in Kent. And I'm delighted to say that I'm joined now by Julie Robertson, who's a trustee at Last Chance Animal Rescue. We'll keep showing you Forrest throughout this. But Julie, thank you very much for joining me. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm actually the assistant manager at New Romney.
Oh, there you go. Did I demote you or did I promote you there? I can't quite work out what happened, but either way, we got it right in the end. Now, how's Forrest, more importantly?
He is adorable as usual. As we sort of say, he does need a very specific home. We're looking for sort of adult-only home with no visiting children. He is going to need a lot of exercise. He is a little devil for digging as well, so it's going to have to be a really, really secure garden. He does like being outside as well. He's not a fan of being cooped up inside, so...
So someone maybe with an outdoor job, for example?
Yeah. I mean, he has been rehome 3 times now, whilst at New Romney, which has involved coming back due to biting. He's a resource guarder and has quite dominant behaviour. So we're looking for someone who has experience of that sort of behaviour.
OK, when you say biting, just a little nibble?
There have been nibbles, but there have been more.
Right, OK. Is he good on a walk?
He is extremely difficult on a lead. He's extremely strong, so, yeah.
But look, obviously, it's someone who's got a lot of time and patience, maybe, who could help him out, surely.
Definitely. I mean, we're giving you all the negatives of him.
Yes,
because
yes,
we
you
have to
have.
make
Just
people aware
give us some positives. Come on, why should we rehome this dog?
He is the most lovable dog you would meet. He loves to play. He loves to run around. He loves to bring you his toys. He is adorable. It is only in a home setting where things get more difficult if you're not used to resource guarding. At the centre, we can manage it quite well. But if you're not experienced with it at home, then it would be more difficult. So we're looking for someone who has a secure garden, quite a bit of land if possible, not asking for much, and also experience of his breed, his needs, and obviously a resource guarded dog.
No, absolutely. And if they do want to rehome Forrest, how do they get in touch with you?
You can visit our website, it's lastchanceanimalrescue.co.uk, or you can call us at our New Romney Centre on 01797 366 620.
But good luck. Obviously, I know there were certain notices, and we really appreciate being as honest about that. But look, every dog does deserve a home, and at the end of the day, it's called Last Chance Animal Rescue for a reason. Surely there's got to be somewhere out there for him, and you've also rehomed lots of other dogs, haven't you? So surely you have hope for Forrest, don't you?
Oh, definitely. I mean, there is someone out there for him. A couple, a single person, definitely. He just has his list of needs, but we believe wholeheartedly that every dog has a home somewhere. But we just have to be selective of who that home is.
Absolutely. I must say, he's got a cracking head of hair on him. He looks a little bit like me when I need a haircut, actually. What a fantastically cute dog.
Everyone who visits loves him.
I can see he's got his ball there, so I'm presuming, he's obviously quite play motivated, you would say?
Yeah, what you're seeing him in is where he generally spends most of his time in the sand school, apart from when we're letting him run free, where he chases all the rabbits and all the wildlife.
OK, all right, good stuff. Now, I believe you were going to be joined by a dog called Rolo. I'm just getting this in my ear now, but what's happened there, then? Rolo's not there?
Rolo has gone home. He's gone to his new home.
Oh.
He was going to be featured this week instead of Forrest. But, yeah, we're so pleased, hoping for good news for him as well. But, yeah, we have other dogs, obviously, on our website. We're always getting new dogs in. We've been open at New Romney since 2015, but we're opening another kennel block in, hopefully, the summer. So we'll have 30 more kennels available to help other dogs. And we've also got a reading centre as well. So, yeah, it's...
Fantastic.
we're hopeful.
You guys do tremendous work, and thank you so much for introducing the nation to Forrest tonight. I'm hoping that someone who's been watching this, or indeed listening on radio or watching online, will be able to take Forrest. And just one more time, Julie, how can they get in touch with you if they've fallen in love?
Contact us at lastchanceanimalrescue.co.uk or telephone us on 01797 366 620.
Look, fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time. And we'd like to... And also well done for Rolo as well. You've done really well there. So, Julie, make sure that you stay in touch with us as well and let us know if Forrest does manage to find his forever home. Thank you very, very much. Now, everybody at home, it's time for this. I've been asking you to send in your energy bills, and they've been coming in their droves. This is from Ken. His electricity bill is rising from £614 to £883. His gas is going up from £914 to £1,569. It's a total increase of £924. It's nuts, really, isn't it, that?
Mental.
It's incredibly high. Anyway, we've got an email in from Scott as well. He says... crippling increase for us from around £210 to £530 a month. How do normal people afford this? And this is what I was talking about before, everyone. If you can't pay, then what happens? You have to end up getting benefits, you have to end up getting handouts. Does that not suck the life out of you a bit? Is that not quite demeaning for you? You've worked all your life, etc. Anyway, Susie's told us, EDF doubled my energy bills last month. They went from £80 to £160 per month. I'm worried now that they'll go up again in April. And I'm wondering as well, let us know again at home, if you tried to shop around and there just aren't better deals out there. Do you feel as though everyone's in the same boat now? Matty on Twitter got in touch at GBNews. Make sure you get in touch with us on Twitter as well as by emailing gbviews@gbnews.uk. He says his bill used to be £75 per month, but then Green went bust and he got moved to Shell. He says, what does this look like for a two-bed house? So I think we can see it on the screen there. It's an extortionate increase, I believe.
£3,000, isn't it?
About £1,000, I believe. That's absolutely shocking stuff. Anyway, there's lots more to come between now and 9 o'clock, of course, on Friday Night Feast. And I'll be having a good look round your parts. That's right, you heard. It's not as rude as it sounds, honest. We'll meet a national treasure. And we've got the latest instalment of Challenge Christies, when I prove that I'm better than you at absolutely everything. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Stay tuned.
We've got a big Saturday for you on GB News. From 6 a.m, it's breakfast with Stephen and Anne. At 10, join Esther and Philip for the Saturday selection. Alistair, Darren and Nana take you through the day. And don't miss Neil Oliver Live at 7 p.m. At 9, it's Mark Dolan Tonight, followed by Headliners. That's Saturday on GB News.
Hello. Rather changeable weather across the UK through this coming weekend, with showers and longer spells of rain. There will be some sunshine in between, but it will often be windy, particularly on Saturday night into Sunday. Now, many of us saw some heavy, persistent rain on Friday, and that was thanks to this cold front that pushed its way northwards, with some fairly strong winds across the UK as well, shown by the tightly packed isobars. But that rain, as I said, continued to clear its way northwards, so clearing the far north of Scotland through the night, clearing eastern England as well. And behind it, a lot of cloud around with some further showery outbreaks of rain. Some of that rain again could be on the heavy side, but with some dry spells in between. Winds won't be as strong as they were on Friday, so that could lead to 1 or 2 fog patches for Northern Ireland. Here it'll be quite chilly, but generally another mild night to come, temperatures holding well above freezing. So we're going to have a rather cloudy, disappointing start to the weekend then, with a lot of cloud and showery outbreaks of rain to start the day. All that rain will push its way northwards, and as it does, it should brighten up across much of Northern Ireland, England and Wales. So it's more in the way of sunshine for a time, just a few showers, which again could be locally heavy. Winds won't be as strong as they were on Friday, so we could see highs of 12 or 13 degrees, and in that sunshine it will feel quite warm, 9 or 10 degrees though across Scotland and Northern Ireland. But in the southwest, as we head into the afternoon, winds already starting to strengthen. We could see gusts of 50 or 60 miles an hour across parts of the southwest, with a warning in force for that. And with that wind, heavy rain as well that will extend its way northwards and eastwards as we head through the night. So by the early hours of the morning, quite a wet picture across much of the UK, and those strong winds extending across many western coastal parts in particular, where we could see gusts in places of 50 to 60 miles an hour and turning windier elsewhere. With all the cloud and rain around, it won't be cold anywhere. Temperatures again on the mild side. So we get up to a rather wet start across this central slice of the UK on Sunday morning. Some rain to start the day, some brightness either side, and then a rash of showers spreading in across many western parts through the day. And again, these could be heavy. But it's the strength of the wind once again we need to focus on, with further warnings in force throughout the day. Slowly settling down into the early part of next week with more sunshine and temperatures lifting as well.
Yes, OK, thank you very much for rejoining Friday Night Feast. Going to go back to my panel now. Rebecca, we heard there loads of people. Thank you very much, everyone, by the way, who was sending in your energy bills. I know it might seem a bit personal, of course, but we want to know how the nation's feeling. Do you feel sorry for people now who are staring down the barrel of it, aren't they? They're having to choose between eating and heating sometimes.
Horrific. But this is what we've got our lovely government to thank for. And at what point are they actually going to do something? There's a lot of things going on. Gas, electric, petrol. At what point are we going to start striking? That's what I want to know.
Well, I do wonder, actually, because as well, so you're a businessman, you're an entrepreneur, you get, I imagine, a lot of self-worth about how well you're doing business-wise. And if you end up getting cut off at the knees by gas bills, electricity bills, energy bills, that must really knock you as a person.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's an absolute liberty what the suppliers are actually doing. It's the company, because a company always has a profit margin, they keep their percentages always the same. That's why they've gone up, because they've got to try and keep the same profit percentage. You know what I mean? But they've made hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds for years and years and years and years, and they can't say they haven't, because they have to film every year, yeah? Now, I think they should work with the people and say, look, we know times are tough, our prices have gone up, but we're going to keep our bills less, because they'll still be making a profit at the same rate now. It's not like they'll be losing money. So I think what they're doing is disgusting. They're profiteering, they're making loads of money, and I feel sorry for everyone, because it is literally, we're going to be faced with, do we do a bit of shopping or do we keep eating them? And we shouldn't have to do that. It's terrible.
No, I agree. And there's a lot of people out there, especially the elderly. The elderly are often too forgotten in this country when it comes to everything. Loneliness, mental health, company, the cost of care, all of that. But now as well, you see a lot of these old people, a lot of them are very, very sweet, aren't they? And they might have a couple of grandkids who they might like to give a tenner to every couple of weeks when the grandkids come round. And now, Grandma and Grandad, in some cases, are going to be sitting there shivering through the night so that they can still give little Timmy and little Lucy or whatever that 10 quid at the weekends, because that's how nice a lot of these elderly people really are. And they've paid into the system their entire lives, haven't they? They've paid into this country their entire lives. They've worked hard. Many will have worked in the public services. And this is how we repay them right at the end, is it? I think that's quite shocking, We should be looking after our elderly especially, shouldn't we?
Yeah, and, and do they actually... Do our government actually try and live off what they give pensioners? I don't think that they do. They really do struggle as it is already. And now what on earth are they actually going to do?
I suppose, though, an argument that some people, no doubt in my inbox, will be saying, Tom, is, all right, then, cut down on the booze and fags, you know?
Mate, people shouldn't have to, like, worry about putting the eating on. You know, it's just, like, it's mental.
And it's always, let's cut out enjoyment of life.
Yeah, let's make our life worse so we can have a bit of eating on a Friday night. No, that's bollocks. Excuse my French, sorry about that, but it is.
Well, I will apologise for that word, but I am sure it's a sentiment that we do all share.
Right,
get in touch, GB News on Twitter. Also, gbviews@gbnews.uk is that email address. Keep your bills coming in. Really fascinating to see that. I might actually try and find one of my own in a minute and get that on air. I probably should have done that. But thank you, everyone, because it's really important to see what's going on throughout the country. But look, we're going to be back with loads more, including Challenge Christies. You're not going to want to miss it. It's me having a little wrestle, yep, and it's as embarrassing as it would sound. But first, it's your news.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate
from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
Basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Welcome back to Friday Night Feast with me, Patrick Christys. Apologies again if you're offended by a little bit of fruity language a couple of minutes ago, but I've got some very exciting news for you. In just a few minutes, I'll be joined in the studio by someone who's doing some fantastic work to help the animals in Ukraine. I'll take a look as well at some of the strangest stories of the week in Round Your Parts. So it's like an ode to local journalism and the latest instalment of Challenge Christies. But first, it's time for your latest headlines with the wonderful and indeed flawless Tamsin Roberts.
Patrick, thank you. Good evening from the GB Newsroom. Ukraine has warned Belarus could launch an invasion of the country. Ukraine's armed forces claim Russia staged what they called a false flag attack in Belarus to try to pull the country into Moscow's war. It follows a meeting between Russian President Vladimir Putin and his Belarusian counterpart, Alexander Lukashenko, today. Earlier, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says his country has reached a strategic turning point in its war with the Kremlin. An advisor to the president urged Belarus not to join the conflict.
I would like to notify and repeat once again what we have said a long time ago. We do not plan to fight against Belarusians, and you must not allow to be dragged into this criminal adventure, which Russia is provoking deliberately by using your military infrastructure, airfields and firing Iskander systems from your territory. This is a direct provocation, strike against Ukrainian territory, and then a strike against Belarusian territory. Please share this video and do not allow it to be dragged into a war. You do not need it.
The US president has announced new sanctions against Russia, including an import ban on seafood, alcohol and diamonds. It follows the UK's Foreign Secretary sanctioning almost 400 members of the Russian Parliament. EU Commissioner President Ursula von der Leyen also announced a fourth package of sanctions which will deny Russia privileged treatment in European economies. President Joe Biden has said the US would also be imposing sanctions on banking executives and members of the Duma.
The G7 is also stepping up pressure on corrupt Russian billionaires. We're adding new names to the list of oligarchs and their families that we're targeting. They support Putin. They steal from the Russian people, and they seek to hide their money in our countries. They're part of that kleptocracy that exists in Moscow, and they must share in the pain of these sanctions.
Well, in a tweet this evening, President Biden has said a direct confrontation between NATO and Russia is World War III and something that must be prevented. The mayor of Kiev says residents are returning to fight against Russia. Vitaly Klitschko says there are around 2 million people still in Ukraine's capital and that there are enough supplies to last a couple of weeks. He also says supply lines in and out remained open for now.
And a lot of men and women. I'm proud of our women standing strong, coming back, defending the country. This is our home. We cannot live somewhere. This is our home.
Kiev's mayor speaking there. Well, this is GB News on TV, online and DAB+ radio. Now, let's get straight back to Patrick.
Good evening, everybody. There's lots to get stuck into between now and 9 o'clock, but any regular viewer of this show will know how much we love our pets. And it's that love affair we have with animals which inspired two charities to join forces and head to Ukraine to treat and, in some cases, rescue pets in danger. People forget that, don't they? Often, OK, yeah, of course, there's a humanitarian crisis going on in Ukraine, but actually there's an animal crisis going on as well. Pets and, indeed, wild animals as well are always the big losers in war. Now, Michelle Clark founded Dogs on the Street back in 2016 and has since provided veterinary care and aid to beloved pets of those who've fallen on hard times. Now, Michelle couldn't bear watching scenes of families being torn apart and in some cases having to leave their pets behind. So alongside the Nature Watch Foundation, she brought together a team of vets who wanted to travel to the border to provide care for the animals that have fled. And Dogs on the Street is also loaning its mobile custom-designed vet vehicle to transport medical essentials. And I'm very pleased, as you've just seen, that Michelle joins me now. Thank you very, very much, Michelle.
Thank you.
So, look, just talk me through what it is you're actually going to be doing.
OK, so as you said a minute ago, we have a mobile vet vehicle that we use around the UK, providing free veterinary care to the vulnerable and complex people that need support. And after seeing a news reel about a family that was torn apart, all I could hear in the background was a dog screaming.
Oh, gosh.
And I just felt so sort of powerless in the sense that I kept thinking, what can I do to help? I can't physically go out because obviously I have the charity here and very high cases here. So I decided to see if we could loan the vet vehicle out. So I put a tweet out and literally within minutes, the Nature Watch Foundation made contact with me and said, look, we're getting a little small team of vets to go out there. Would you mind if we used your vehicle, your vet vehicle? And there was no question about it. And since then, literally, this has only happened in the last 4 days that we're actually pulling this together.
Isn't it amazing how quickly people move, especially when it comes to animals as well? I know we are going to be talking a bit later on about humanitarian crisis, don't get me wrong, but we've seen this before. We saw it in Afghanistan with the pets, pen farthing, for example, over there. And why do you think people are so drawn to it? Is it because of the vulnerability of animals, do you think?
Well, I mean, you know, animals are like family to us. You know, we are a nation of animal lovers. And I think as well, you know, animals probably in crisis like this do come slightly more secondary to people trying to flee. However, watching the news and seeing people carrying their pets and pets arriving in Poland, the Poland border, exhausted, collapsing, and not able to gain the actual veterinary care immediately. This is where Nature Watch Foundation wanted to step in and help, and this is where we as Dogs on the Streets And, you know, just a quick paragraph from Nature Watch Foundation themselves, you know, they strongly believe in partnership working and being complemented by the veterinary van so kindly provided by Dogs on the Streets. It's a perfect opportunity to have a genuine impact on animal welfare for those who have fled such devastation in Ukraine.
Absolutely. So where are they actually going to go to? Or do they not know the precise location yet?
Literally on the border, the Poland-Ukraine border of Poland. Yeah, literally as people are arriving in Poland, the vet vehicle, the amazing vet team will be there providing emergency veterinary care and also essentials for the dogs.
And if people want to donate to either yourself or this other organisation, Nature Watch, how can they go about doing that?
Well, our website is dogsonthestreets.org and we have a Golden Given page up there where we're raising funds purely for the trip. 100% of everyone's donations is going on the trip to into the Ukraine border. Everyone is a volunteer that's going. We've got an Amazon wish list up, which today is the last day to order.
OK.
And if not, contact Nature Watch Foundation.
Well, can I just say, actually, that you have a special place in my heart as well, because last Christmas, my mother actually did donate quite a lot of money as well. She made me very aware of the cause that you guys were doing. And so, so I would like to just pledge live on air now 50 quid, if that's OK.
Oh, thank you.
I know it's not a huge amount of money, but we have just been talking about an energy crisis, to be fair.
No.
Give me a little bit of a break, all right? No. But no, I'll definitely, and I'll make sure I do that as soon as we go into the next ad break, or I come off air. And just talk about some of the work that you do domestically, because you've got this vet vehicle, that's going right over to the border, but right here at home you do loads, don't you?
Yeah, we do, and it's getting busier each day. And I just want to say that, you know, even like supporting the Ukraine trip, we are still fully operating our Dogs on the Streets. We've got a 4-acre sanctuary where we have quite a lot of dogs that have come into our foster care for many owners that are going through a very difficult time. And obviously we advocate for housing to ensure people can live with their dogs.
Well, look, thank you so much, Michelle. Michelle Clark. And good luck to yourself. And just very quickly, I don't want to kind of, you know, put you in a bad place, but we were supposed to be having a little dog in the studio tonight, weren't we? And it's a bit of a sad story. What happened?
Yeah, my dog very sadly collapsed out of nowhere last night and has gone over Rainbow Bridge.
Oh, my gosh. All right, well, I know every single person here at GB News, every single person watching will be wishing you all the best. And thank you so much for coming into the studio anyway. And,
thank you.
Yeah, you know, all the good work that you're doing. So take care, all right? And I'll sort you out with that 50 quid later on. All right. Michelle Clark there, founder of Dogs on the Streets. Goodness me, what a really emotional story it is all round that. So please do dig deep if you can for that. One last time, sorry, what's the email address?
dogsonthestreets.org.
OK, all right, thank you so much, Right, OK, moving on from that. Now, Europe is also facing a humanitarian crisis as well, isn't it? With more than 1.5 million refugees entering Poland from Ukraine. GB News presenter Isabel Oakeshott is on a special trip to Ukraine's neighbour Poland with the British Parliament's all-party group on Poland, and she's been seeing how the country has dealt with the vast numbers of Ukraine refugees crossing the border and how the UK could learn from the generosity shown by Poles. Isabel sent us this report from Warsaw.
The clatter and clamour of a busy kitchen near Warsaw as two families prepare for supper. Eugenia and her partner Alina have been taken in by a Polish family they'd never even met, along with 12-year-old Sasha and Marina, who's just 5. A few days ago, it was a different kind of crashing they heard from their apartment in Kiev, the terrifying roar of Russian bombs raining down on their home city.
The evening, we started to hear these explosions more often, and we really realized that it's time to leave. So maybe I still had doubts, and I was hoping that maybe next day it will all stop. And Alina said, "Okay, I take children and go." I don't remember that we even told something to children, but we were talking to each other, so so Sasha understood what is happening, and Marina, she was just scared. So when I was packing, she took her best dress and put it into our luggage and said, "Mom, will we get back?" I say, "Of course we will."
Eugenia said she would have stayed to fight like her sister if it wasn't for the kids, but her relief at being safe with her family is clear.
I cannot tell how much we are grateful for all the Poland and all the people here. They are just it's amazing. So I couldn't even imagine that there will be so much support from Poland. Really, it's like. So we are living now in a house of one Polish family. They have 3 kids, their own, and now they have all of us with our dog, with a cat.
Despite such a short time knowing each other, these two families seem to share a deep bond. Mum of 3, Violetta, says she was well prepared for the likelihood that their stay would last much longer than a few days.
Tak naprawdę mam takie poczucie, że przyjechali do mnie znajomi. Ktoś.
I don't see them as strangers. I feel like they're my friends come to visit.
Przyjęcie kogoś obcego do domu.
Eugenia and Alina are very lovely. It's not a problem for us at all.
Wspaniałe kobiety.
Since the Russian invasion began, we've heard so much about the generosity of the Poles in welcoming refugees from Ukraine. But it doesn't really feel real, I think, to us in the UK until you actually come into a home where a Polish family has welcomed complete strangers into their daily lives. And everybody is coexisting in a pretty merry chaos, really. Everybody is mucking in together and trying their best to make this work, not really knowing how long it's going to be for. Eugenia and her family are among 1.5 million Ukrainians who've fled the violence in their country and come to Poland. Among those making it across the border to safety were 20 sick children, many of them battling cancer. They've come from Kharkiv, a large city in the east which is being flattened by Vladimir Putin's forces. He says it's to denazify Ukraine. The faces of these children tell a different story. And despite the heroism of aid workers helping on the border, it's clear to me that even those who work for charities struggle to come to terms with what they are seeing.
This is the most tragic moment when you see children crying. You know, the first time I was on the border in the reception point, I saw drawings on a wall, and one of them was the simple one, "Daddy, I love you," and they're heartbroken. Yes, and these are the pictures that will stay with me for whole my life, and I hope they will find themselves soon.
Western nations have been remarkably unified in their support for Ukraine. Kamala Harris, the US Vice President, visited Warsaw on the day we filmed to shore up the NATO alliance. But the warm words stop short of direct military help on a scale that the Ukrainians would like. And with refugee numbers now threatening a humanitarian crisis in Poland as well as Ukraine, ministers here are calling on friends like Britain to do more.
Nie mamy najmniejszej wątpliwości, że są pewne ograniczenia. No, co do tego nikt nie ma wątpliwości.
It's only 1.5 million refugees now, but there could be millions more to come.
No, ale jeśli działania wojenne na Ukrainie nie zakończą...
And if that's the case, then we will be asking our British friends and other European friends to accept more refugees.
For many back in the UK, the efforts to help Ukraine's refugees have left a lot to be desired, with only minimal numbers accepted and huge bureaucratic hurdles for the rest. There are signs now that that may change, but it's clear that Ukraine's trauma will not end soon, and Britain may soon have to wrestle with an immigration crisis to match any we've seen before. Isabel Oakeshott, GB News.
Thank you, Isabel. And I've been asking you all evening what your view on the Ukrainian refugee crisis is. I've been saying that actually I don't think you're in any way racist, and don't let anyone tell you that you are. If it is true, indeed, if it is true, that you would rather house a Ukrainian refugee than some of the other people that we've seen coming here, is it not true that maybe, potentially, just potentially, we have a little bit more in common, or you would feel that we did, and potentially it would seem a little bit more temporary? GBviews at gbnews.uk. I am also asking you, of course, to send in pictures of your energy bills, gas bills, electricity bills, etc. They're all going through the roof at the moment, and loads of you have responded to that rallying cry. So thank you very much. We'll be going to those very shortly. That email again, gbviews at gbnews.uk or at gbnews on Twitter. Now, after the break, we'll talk about the teacher whose skin-tight outfit prompted complaints from parents, and ask if we found the most patriotic steak in Britain. Yes, we're going to have a good rummage around your parts. See you soon in a couple of minutes.
We've got a big Saturday for you on GB News. From 6 a.m, it's breakfast with Stephen and Anne. At 10, join Esther and Philip for the Saturday selection. Alistair, Darren and Nana take you through the day. And don't miss Neil Oliver Live at 7 p.m. At 9, it's Mark Dolan Tonight, followed by Headliners. That's Saturday on GB News.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before.
Basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
On Mark Dolan Tonight, in The Big Question, is Vladimir Putin mentally ill? We'll speak to a range of experts to psychologically profile the man who's currently holding the world to ransom. My Mark Meets guest is renowned neuroscientist Dr. Tara Swart, who'll be explaining exactly how the human brain works and how we can help to make it more powerful. In my Big Opinion monologue, half of the voting population are biological women, so it's time Labour stood up for them. Plus my all-star panel and alternative headlines. See you at 9.
Welcome back, everybody. You are just minutes away from watching me making my wrestling debut in Challenge Christies. Be warned, be very afraid. Now, all week my production team have been delving round your parts, you heard, to find some of the absolute gems of local news. I love local news. I absolutely adore it. It's where I initially cut my teeth, and I think you get some absolute corkers. And it doesn't get enough credit. Not on my watch. It's getting involved. So we start this week in the town of Broxburn, which is a short distance from Edinburgh. And the teacher is under investigation after he wore a skin-tight morph costume on World Book Day. I believe we can see an image of this right now. Oh, well, apparently we will be able to see it very shortly. Anyway, Martin Tunstall allegedly told pupils at Broxburn Academy that he was dressed as Spider-Man, but some children and parents complained, and West Lothian Council are looking into the matter. Tom, would you be brave enough to wear a skin-tight costume?
No.
No, certainly not in front of a room full of kids,
No, of course not.
No?
He ain't right, a fella, is he?
No, well, I don't know, it doesn't seem that way. Are you into fancy dress?
No.
No, not at all?
No, you're doing well here, aren't you? No, we're out.
You're out of it, fair enough. All right, now another school making the headlines this week is Ramridge Primary School in Luton, where a murder scene was set up so kids as young as 10 could learn about fingerprints. Who is teaching our kids, anyway? Would you believe that the school posted a photo of a bloodied child mannequin on social media? Oh, my God.
Shut up.
This is nuts. And the headline there, as you can see, is Parents Furious at Primary School for Mocking up Grisly Child Murder Scene. It's got day-to-day written all over it, hasn't it? This is just bonkers. You would have thought, because the thing is, that's had to go through a few different layers of people, you would imagine. They've all gone...
Who's okayed that?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'll tell you what we do. We're going to get a 10-year-old and we're going to get a mannequin. We're going to pull his head off, right? We're going to put a police tape round it and go, right, let's solve the murder, kids.
Yeah.
Like, when I was 10 years old, I was jumping out of trees and, like, don't know.
Never to give any harm, obviously. Never to give any harm.
Not doing murder scenes, but that's not right.
Do you think... I mean, what do you think we've got a bit of a crisis in our education at the minute?
I think we've gone mad. I would be OK. I've got a 9-year-old and a nearly 16-year-old. I wouldn't be happy if she was doing that. She'd probably be thrilled, but I'm having none of it. No.
No, not for you. I think it's just terrifying, isn't it? Kids get a weird deal enough as it is at school if they're not being taught about whether or not they're born into the wrong body. They're seeing a bloody child mannequin so they can learn about fingerprints. Why would a child have to learn about fingerprints? But anyway, it was all part of Science Week, apparently, at Ramridge Primary, and now it's part of P45 Week for a few people, you would imagine. But they got an outside company to set up this crime scene. So it included a crowbar on the floor close to the mannequin, which was apparently used by children for fingerprints. It is absolutely nuts. What were you doing at primary school when you were at that age, 10 years old?
Yeah, jumping in trees, singing, dancing, normal stuff. We go into schools once a week and we actually teach at the moment. We teach kids like life skills and like how to run their own charity and how to come up with mental health projects. We don't teach them how to solve a murder scene. No, I think there's a limit, isn't there? Well, we're moving over to Teesside now, which famously has never had a murder scene in its life, where the big news this week concerns the man who's found a steak in the shape of Great Britain. So there it is, Steak Britain. Yeah, there you are, I think. Fantastic. I mean, he stretched that a bit, for want of a better
That looks well done.
It looks like a monkey.
It does look a bit like a monkey, actually. Anyway, Nigel Cooper told the Gazette that it's one of Britain's most patriotic steaks. Good British steak, good British steak. Anyway, he admitted that his wife wasn't as enthusiastic about it as he was. And in case you're wondering, Nigel ate it with oven chips, mushrooms and tomatoes. And these are all really important details. Aren't they, Rebecca? Is that one of the biggest pieces of meat you've ever seen?
No.
OK, fair enough.
I think we're scraping the barrel with news.
We are. That's good local news. Anyway, let's move on now and bring you Patrick's fake news. Today, I've been asking the great British public what they make of a made-up story. So what I think right now is every single day, as people know, I sit here and, loosely speaking anyway, do the news and I talk about some mad stuff. Regularly, I'm confronted by a news story that I think, how the heck has this actually happened? How has this become news? How has this actually been allowed to occur? Anyway, so I thought, why not just make it up and get the British public to deal with it? So today I said that Skittles is suing the NHS for their use of the rainbow logo. Here's what they told me earlier.
Well, Skittles were before NHS.
Yes, so technically is that right? Is it? Oh no, the NHS were before Skittles.
Yeah, that's what I meant. NHS were
but
before Skittles.
But I personally do not relate the NHS to the rainbow in any sense.
It's a rainbow. Why are you suing someone over a colour?
It's a bit weird.
Yeah?
Is the rainbow like a trademarked thing, or...?
Apparently so. They say that with them they taste the rainbow, the NHS stole the rainbow.
I didn't know the rainbow was up for stealing, sorry.
What? I don't see what the problem is.
They're saying it's copyright, trademark.
But the rainbow is a rainbow for everybody. It's the universe. Everyone uses rainbow.
No one can steal the rainbow apart from Dorothy.
Oh, that's so cute. That's the best answer.
I'm a singer. Somewhere
yes!
over the rainbow, way up high.
Yeah, here we go.
There's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Get a life. I associate NHS with blue.
Right.
Yeah, blue.
And that's it. No, like, purple, absolutely not. Yellow, no.
What about green?
Green, no. It's not the same thing.
It's not?
It's not the same thing. I got you. And it's not even a logo. It's an idea.
It's an idea?
It's an idea.
It just gets... It's just countries just going downhill. It's just lunacy.
I do feel a bit bad sometimes when I speak to these people, but, you know, it just proves how wacky our news agenda really is. Not a single person today, not a single person turned around to me and went, "You're having a laugh, aren't you? Please go away." But, Tom, you seem like the gullible sort. Would you have fallen for that story, do you think?
Yeah, of course I would. I love Skittles. I'd have been gutted.
Yeah,
I love Skittles. Do you know what I mean? I like them.
I think Skittles have virtue signalled from time to time, haven't they, actually, as well? They've done a couple of virtue signalling things. But there's lots more on the way in the final part of Friday Night Feast. There's this week's instalment of Challenge Christies, and we'll meet our national treasure. So make sure that you don't go away. We will be back very, very shortly.
GB News is the UK's home of discussion and debate from all perspectives.
To stay up to date on the latest stories,
make sure that you subscribe to the GB News channel.
right here on YouTube.
You can watch us live 24/7 across the whole world.
You can also check out exclusive content and catch up on previous episodes of your favourite shows.
Every day, we ask the questions
that you'd ask, so why not add your voice to the conversation in the comments section?
Don't forget to subscribe. We are GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every night at 11 on GB News, we bring you the next day's stories the day before. It's basically like time travel.
If it's a big story, we'll cover it, guaranteed. But we'll also have some fun along the way.
Big opinions, big laughs. Sometimes big hair.
This is
Headliners, the paper review show that won't send you to sleep like the others will.
11 p.m, 7 nights a week. Join us.
Hello there, I'm Eamon Holmes.
And I'm Isabel Webster.
And we hope you can join us for
Breakfast with Eamon.
And Isabel.
You make me laugh out loud, belly laugh.
Is that important first thing in the morning?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's me trying to be deadly serious. News is a serious business.
Yeah, I have to rein you in sometimes.
Well, it doesn't stop us laughing at it. It doesn't stop us having an opinion on what's going on.
Yeah.
And it certainly will not stop us reflecting what you think.
Weekdays from 6 to 9:30 on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Yes, there we go. It's that time again. It's Challenge Christies. And if you're a new viewer or listener, this is the part of the show where you set me a challenge. And I show you all exactly how it's done. So if you've got a challenge for me, email me at patrick@gbnews.uk. And if you're very lucky, I'll take you up on that offer. I'll show off my skills at pretty much anything. And in the last few weeks, I've mastered wild water swimming. Did involve a bit of hypothermia, to be fair. Gone up against a professional boxer for about 5 seconds. And done a bit of show jumping, very, very badly. But now, let's check out what I've been doing this week. Right, well, here we go again, ladies and gentlemen. The latest instalment of Challenge Christies, where you, the viewer, you, the listener, get to set me a challenge, and I prove, once and for all, that I'm pretty flipping great at it. Now, I'm really hoping this week is you, my fans, my viewers, my people, really. I'd go as far as to say loved ones, friends. Just set me a nice, easy one, you know, like some colouring in or something like that. I think we should probably find out, shall we? So, there you go then, mate.
For you.
Steve, chestnuts. This week, let's wrestle. I don't imagine there'll be anyone too serious around here, probably just a few kids in leotards. Anyway, after you, mate.
Look, don't worry about it, Patrick. We're going to get you changed, we're going to get you ready, we'll give you some training, and, well, let's see whether or not you can be the next heavyweight champion.
I've just written my will. Right, so here we are. This is really happening.
We've got Jack, we've got Chris, we've got Charlie, we've got Aaron, we've got Richie, down here we've got Ryan. Listen, most wrestling matches start off with the wrestlers doing a collar and elbow tie-up.
Okay.
Yeah, not bad, not bad, not bad.
Oh, what's this one?
So now he's got you in a wrist lock.
Wrist lock, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, he's got you in a wrist lock.
And he could just, he could just kill me with this, couldn't he? Really?
Yeah, that's a nice little chin lock there.
Oh, okay, all right. It just
That's a hammer lock. That's called a full Nelson.
It feels like a full Nelson, yeah.
And then this one, is the free kick Nelson.
Oh, I heard it crack.
Nice one.
You're going to slip through with the hand, break it, take the wrist, and basically what you want is your thumbs at the back, like that. Boom, great stuff.
Straight into the headlock.
That's it, perfect. That's good.
All right, I think I've got the hang of this, mate.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's teach you how to bump.
Bump.
Nice and back. Throw your hands out. Better eat. No.
You know when, like, me go, I can't do anything for like, I do that. Do you reckon this is what he was talking about?
The face.
Shot. Yeah, okay. Do you need these shorts back? It's just, I think, a little bit of wee came out.
Well, you know, don't worry about that. We can get those washed. Nice. That wasn't bad.
I feel like more of a man than I've ever felt.
Good.
Oh, the height's under today.
Yeah.
Stand on this. Oh, wait. This one. Oh.
Doing good. You're doing good.
There. Go on, hold my arm.
Have me beside it. That's lovely.
On the rope. Oh, that's it. There we go.
That's it. That's it.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Right, I'm going to give it a go, I think, lads. Ready?
Nice.
You need to make it look so easy. That I was wrecking it. Absolutely wrecking it. All right then, big lad. Let's have a go.
Right. Put your arm over like this.
Great.
How are you feeling? You feeling like you're ready for a match?
Fresh to daisy.
Yeah?
Fresh to daisy. I feel like I could take on the world, yeah.
If we have these guys that you trained with as your tag team partners.
Okay, good stuff, yeah.
And then I'll bring out some other guys for you to wrestle. In fact, yeah. These guys. In the red corner, we have got the Mountain, Chris Klein. We've got Ryan Boyne, and we've got the scariest clown of them all, Hound Dumb. And over here in the blue corner, you've been warned, we've got Aaron Warnes, we've got Charlie May, and our very special guest, Crusher Christies!
Let's go. Oh. Come on, Crusher.
Here we go. Here we go. Goes up. Never again. Your winner, Ryan Boyne.
Thank you to whoever nominated me to go wrestling. I will have you killed.
Come here, chap.
Right, well, I'm still in absolute bits. That was a lot of fun, though, to be fair, but it was also very, very, very painful. And I can assure you that I have got bruises all down my back. I'm not going to get my kit off again live on air, though, to prove it. Now, if you're listening on GB News Radio, you can watch that challenge right now on your YouTube channel and also on your Facebook page. It basically involves me getting beaten up. But I did that challenge at the absolutely amazing School of Slam in Harwich. And I'm delighted to say that the head coach there, Paul Tyrrell, joins me now. Thank you very much, Paul. You're an absolute legend. Hey, I tell you what, I wasn't half bad, was I?
Do you know what? I thought you did really, really well. Some people, they really do struggle to pick wrestling up, but for the first time, you did fantastic.
Look, you're a legend. Now, I wanted to give a bit more of a... I mean, we saw what you guys have got to offer there, but just kind of plug the place, really. What it is that you guys do. How did you set it up initially? Start at the beginning.
Yeah, I'd love to. So, SOS Wrestling has been around in Harwich since 2016. It's a fantastic club. We welcome everyone, all ages. We run a junior training every single Sunday from 4 o'clock in the afternoon and beginners from 5 o'clock at Kingsway Hall in Harwich. And every month we also run a show. It's always the last Friday of each month. And we've got a big show coming up this month in March, actually, March the 25th. We'll be back at Kingsway Hall. If people want to come along, they can buy their tickets online at ringsideworld.co.uk or, of course, on the door. And we've got stars from SOS appearing that night, along with stars from all around the world. We've even got guys flying in from Florida in America.
And I can assure anyone, right, who is watching this now thinking that that was all completely fake and that it's all a bit of an act, the skill level of these blokes, right, the actual skill level, the technique of it, the athleticism of it is incredible. Just talk us through some of the training that you have to do and the complexity of your routines as well, of your shows.
Yeah, no problem at all. So obviously we do quite a lot of strength and agility training. We do a lot of stuff which is very closely related to gymnastics. We also look at a lot of different disciplines that stem from martial arts. And of course, traditional Greco-Roman wrestling and mixed martial arts, everything all sort of links into it. The main thing about School of Slam, though, it's something for everyone. So it doesn't matter whether you're 9 or 10 years old or whether you're 45, 50 years old, we've always got an opportunity for people to get involved.
Local lads, I know that your shows include people from all around, really, but it is a cracking thing for the local area, isn't it? It's great fun. It teaches you a load of athleticism. And all of your lads there got on so well. You could just see the camaraderie in it all.
Yeah, it's a real social event. A lot of people come down sometimes on a Sunday, even if they're a little bit injured or a bit tired from work. They come down just for the social side of it. It really is just a great place to be. If you've ever fancied trying pro wrestling, then, look us up, come and see us. We're there every single week. And even if you've got a few nerves, we'll look after you. It's a fantastic place. We've got a reputation for being one of the best training schools in the whole of the UK. And here we are in Essex. Come and look up SOS Wrestling.
No, 100%. And I would actually genuinely say to anyone as well, I could have got seriously hurt there if it wasn't for the skill level of the people that Paul has trained and that Paul is with. People jumping off the high rope, let me tell you, they make it look so easy, but actually it is very difficult. And yeah, all right, you get knocked around a bit, you do feel it, but actually there wasn't really much danger for me of getting hurt because of how good Paul's lads were there. But Paul, I mean, sometimes people do get hurt, don't they?
Yeah, they certainly do. Everything comes with a risk, but not being funny, Patrick, you can get hurt walking down the street, you get hurt playing football, you get hurt playing rugby. The great thing about this, you've got a little bit of something for everyone there. You've just got the sport, but you've also got the entertainment side of things. And, on a live show, when you're there performing in front of all the fans, I've got to be honest, the pain is the last thing. It's the buzz, it's the adrenaline. Once you get into pro wrestling, it's hard to stop.
Absolutely. And just tell us a little bit more about these live shows. Give us that date again, but also as well, just mention to us exactly what it's like, because if you pack that hall out, it must be rocking, Paul.
Oh, the atmosphere at a live wrestling event is absolutely tremendous. If you've never seen live wrestling, then please do give it a go. You get so many people that say, oh, wrestling is not really my thing. They come along to their first show and that is it. They're addicted. So we're at Kingsway Hall in Harwich, Essex. We're on Friday, the 25th of March. We open the doors at 6:30 p.m. and the bell rings at 7 p.m. for the first match. And we've got 7 matches coming up, including a fantastic women's wrestling match and some amazing stars from across the pond in America that are flying over from recently appearing at AEW, and they're going to be in the SOS ring on Friday, the 25th of March.
Fantastic. Paul, you're a legend, and thank you yet again to you and everyone at SOS, all of those people there who looked after me so incredibly well. They went out of their way to open that hole, set the ring up, put a light show on, get everyone involved. That was no mean feat, and we really, really, really appreciate the massive efforts that you guys went to. So I want to thank you, Paul. I want to thank everyone who was involved in that. Legends, all of you. And get down to that show. Go and see it. Paul Tyrrell there. Fantastic stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Well done. And I think my panel as well, we've got a round of applause for that, hasn't he? Yes. There we go. Right, I could see your reaction there, Rebecca. You looked terrified.
Strong no from me.
You wouldn't fancy it?
School of actual slap? No, absolutely not. I'm genuinely concerned for you right now. Are you okay?
I'm all right. I think it's the neck that's the worst, but the back is also pretty bad. You can see there on the screen that there's a big clown there that just did what he did. Tom, have you ever had a big man sit on you like that?
Only on Thursdays, mate. Not normally happens, but...
Yeah. Would you ever get involved in anything like that?
I think that's brilliant. Listen, that looks like great. You done well there, mate. It looks like great fun as well. I think I'm going to go down on the 25th of March, that show.
I would honestly recommend it.
Yeah, I'm going to go down there.
They've got a bar in there. It's certainly not London prices, put it that way. Big ring there, as you can see. And also, as well, they fill it right out. And I would actually highly recommend it. I can genuinely say the skill level involved with these lads. They are athletes. I know that sounds nuts because you look at some of them and you think, well, you know, these are big lads. They are proper athletes.
Of course, mate. No, honestly, I'm going to try and get down there on the 25th of March. Looks brilliant. It's really good.
All right, well, what do you want me to do in next week's challenge, Christies? That's right. I'll be honest, I can't be bothered doing the work myself, so I want you to arrange for my next challenge. This is what I call Patrick's Promise. So, if you set it up, you pay for it all, obviously. I've not made of money. And then I'll turn up for an hour. I'll show you I can do it better than you think I can. I'll sign a few autographs and I'll leave, all right? Just the classic stuff, OK? So go on, what are you waiting for? Email me now, patrick@gbnews.uk. I must say, I absolutely do love doing this stuff, and it has all come from you so far. We've not made this stuff up. This has been from you guys, and I am starting to wonder why you want to see me in so much pain. But anyway, right, OK. Well, someone who has been in touch with me in the last few days is Sebi Hall. Now, he's the inspirational teenager who was last week's National Treasure. I'm sure you'll remember Sebi. Sebi raised more than £44,000 for charity by doing random acts of kindness. And this is what he had to say to me earlier this week.
Hi, Patrick. It's Sebi Hall from Master Kindness again. I had time for you, Christy. What challenge for you? You must do the act of kindness. Every day for a week. Or to make people smile. You can't get any better than me. You should do this, Patrick. I'll send you a teddy bear. Like this. It's my new charity bear. Teddy bear come with a postcard. On the back, you left somebody a message. A message of kindness. So, Christy, can you do it? Challenge you, Christy.
Good lad, Sebi. Thank you very much. What about that? Well, I can tell you, Sebi, that I am up for that challenge, and the people behind the scenes here at GB News are working on it, and I promise it will get done very, very soon. Thank you so much, and congratulations, Sebi, again, for everything that you've done. You are a true inspiration. But, of course, it's time now for National Treasure, where we meet someone who's gone out of their way to make a big difference for other people's lives. And that's certainly the case with the man that I'm about to speak to right now. Trevor Elliott became a foster parent at the age of just 25. Bear in mind that the average age of a foster parent is 54. Trevor also set up a children's home during the pandemic, and his efforts were rewarded when he received an MBE in 2020. And I'm delighted to say that Trevor joins me right now. Fantastic stuff. What a man. What a man you are. So you're on this week's National Treasure. I wish we had a live studio audience so they could all be stood up and applauding you, but you'll have to imagine it. Yeah. So what made you decide to do this then?
I think I started working with children when I was about 18 myself, and I noticed there was a massive need to actually be a good role model for children in the community. And I had space, I wanted to give back, and I wanted to help vulnerable children.
Absolutely. So how did you initially get into it, though, in a practical sense? Because you have to apply.
So started as a youth worker, worked my way in, and then worked my way up from a youth worker to then we opened a charity in 2011, where we was providing youth clubs around London. And a lot of the work I was doing, almost the children would go home, and a lot of the work we did would reset because you're a product of your home environment most of the time. So then I thought, actually, you know, I've got space here. I could really make an impact with children. If they actually lived with me, I feel like I can make a significant difference.
No, of course. And was it? I mean, it must have been a struggle, right? It looks hard.
Yeah, it had its challenges. I mean, it's fine now because they're 20 years old and they're doing amazing things. But at the time, when you're dealing with children that have suffered trauma, abuse, neglect, it has its challenges.
How old were they? Sorry, just remind me when they first came.
So they were. So I took 3 in within 1 year, and they came in at 15, and one 14-year-old.
And did they previously know each other? Or?
No, all unrelated.
So that must be hard in itself.
Yeah. So the matching process, you got one, young person who's Sudanese. You got another young person who's come from a sort of gang background, and it's like getting them together as challenging as it is. But they all brought into the home environment, and they absolutely were happy with it.
So did you find it difficult in terms of like a discipline sense as well? Because I'd be absolutely terrible at it, right? I can see myself being a massive pushover.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I am a big pushover, and that's what my staff say in the children's home now. I'm a real softie. But I think it's like anything. If they know you care and they know you actually are bothered about helping their life, then there's an element of respect there. And yeah.
You mentioned the need for role models. Why do you think that is? Why do you think there aren't enough of them at the moment?
I think because a lot of the role models they see are too far away from them. So the music artists there's too much of a distance between them, so it's unrealistic for them to feel like they can be there. And also, it's not cool, really. There's only certain role models that are portrayed in the limelight nowadays, and actually the doctors, the nurses, or the support workers, that you don't see enough of them. And when you are that person, they actually believe, that their help is out there. So yeah, I believe that I've opened the doors for a lot of other sort of support workers to have their voice, and it's now considered kind of cool working with children now, opposed to before it was, being a music artist or being a sports player. Now actually being a youth worker, being a mentor is considered quite rewarding, and people are enjoying doing it.
No, absolutely. And I think it's just such an incredible thing that you decided to do. Did people at the time say, you're nuts, mate?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I had a lot of people turn me away. A lot of local authorities turned me away because they said I was too young. They told me I need to go out and get parental experience, and I kind of laughed with them and said, well, who's going to give me their child? Yeah. No one's going to give me their child for free, let alone trust me with their child. But luckily, one local authority believed in me, and they saw, what I wanted to do. And
is it especially difficult, do you think, for a young man on his own? Because there's some societal stigma around that. If people get, and it's not the same, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this in the same way, but, if people want a nanny or an au pair or something like that, more often than not, they go for the woman, right?
Correct.
So it must have been people must have...
I think my friendship group, it was strange, especially being a male myself, and obviously my friends said, they would portray it as a woman's job, unfortunately, but actually there are a lot of foster carers that are males. There's not many foster carers that are single males.
Yeah.
But we can all do it. If we have the space, we can all do it, and it's so valuable to the children.
So talk to me a bit about where they are now, what they're doing now, I suppose.
So 2 of them at college, 1 of them at uni. They're actually in the process of moving on, living independently. So they're actually bidding for their new places now. Wow. So they're all gonna move on separately, but in a healthy way. And they're super excited. They're too cool for me now, so they're no longer interested in me.
I don't believe that, mate. I'm not sure I believe that.
They actually are.
But so, look, obviously you don't want to... I know you seem like a very modest chap, but what do you think would be their situation now if it hadn't have been for foster, if it hadn't have been for you, do you think?
I think, obviously, they're coming from elements of neglect. They're coming from, one of them is an unaccompanied minor, so he couldn't speak English. So if he was put in an environment which wasn't as safe, he could have steered down the wrong path, or they could have continued being neglected and not getting the support they deserved.
And we're seeing at the moment, lockdown had a part to play in this, and just general human circumstance, I suppose. But we are seeing at the moment that child abuse cases are going up, neglect has been going up, and unfortunately that's not... it's not caught up with the amount of home visits and things like that. So there is a real problem out there. And if people are at home now, or either watching this on their television or online or on the radio, for example, listening to it on the radio, want to do something like what you've done, how do they go about doing that?
So they contact their local fostering agency or contact their local authority, and they just put in a request to say, look, I'm considering being a foster carer. And then you can go on into like an introductory course to find out a bit more about it. And if you're interested, then they actually train you to become a foster carer.
What was the one thing they didn't quite train you for?
Parents.
Oh, what, really?
Parents, yeah. Because there is that you can't look after my child better than me.
Yeah, of course.
Although the parents have been really amazing, actually, I was young, so there was that trust element as well. So can we trust this young man to look after our children? Can he do any better than us? There was that element which you couldn't have prepared for.
Well, we have got some pictures of you getting your MBE, and this must have been a very, very proud day. There we are.
Yeah.
So for everyone who's just watching now, or listening, sorry, I should say, on the radio, that's Trevor there, and that's Princess Anne, is it? Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Princess Anne. There we are. There you go. That must have been a very special day.
Yeah, that was surreal. I mean, more so for my mum than for me, to be honest with you, because she absolutely loves the royal family. And to be honest with growing up, you just never put yourself in that position.
No. How did you find out you're getting? How do you find out you're getting an MBA?
They sent me an email.
Were you just like, yeah, no, junk?
Yeah, I was fearing for my life. I thought I was in trouble. Whenever you see a letter or letterhead from the Queen, you think I've done something really bad here. And
you would imagine so. Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. So yeah, like you said, your mum must be very proud. And would you say that was one of the happiest days of your life? Do you think?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And to see my mum, proud mum, seeing her son on sort of receiving a reward like that was amazing.
Well, Trevor, I would just like to say, and I think I speak on behalf of literally every single person in this country now, thank you for being such a national treasure. And you've made so many lives better, and
thank you so
no
much.
doubt will continue to do so. And it's an honour to be in your company.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Trevor Elliott there. What a mighty fine chap that is, hey? Hey, tell you what, I went wrestling this week, right? I achieved diddly squat. This guy, I mean, come on. It puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? Thank you so much for joining us. That was National Treasure. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for this. Right, well, let's look at some more of your energy bills. We've been asking people to send energy bills in, haven't we, throughout the show? We really want to get in touch with you. We want to kind of relate to you, really. And this bill is from an anonymous person on Twitter. Fair enough. Keep it anonymous. Their electricity bill is set to rise by over £140 from £238 per month to £381 per month. Crikey. And this one is from Brad. He's going to see a £771 increase in his energy bills this year. I mean, that's a holiday, really. That's a holiday, isn't it, really? If you think about that, you can go on holiday for that amount of money. It's an absolute joke. Next up is Kirsty. She says, I am on carer's allowance and my mum is on state pension. Our energy bills are going from £110 to £240 a month. So double, right? That's an absolute shocker. We've already turned our heating off and only having one hot meal every single day. We've just cut our grocery budget to £20 a week for 2 adult diabetics. Goodness gracious me. It's really hammering it home. And thank you so much, Kirsty, and indeed your mother for sending that in. I do send you all of my best. I know that doesn't help your situation whatsoever, frankly, but I really do hope that by highlighting a lot of these people's issues right now, we can kind of hammer home the madness of it all. Jeff has got an email in touch with us. Scottish Power is increasing my bills from £100 per calendar month to 370 quid. How are we supposed to pay this? I'm not surprised. This is not even the worst increase I've seen. This is an increase of £270 a month. Wow. He finishes his email with great show as always. Jeff, you're a legend. Thank you very much indeed for all of that. Look, guys, get in touch with us. Like I've said, GBViews at gbnews.uk. Get in touch with us on Twitter as well, at GBNews. We have to face facts now, unfortunately. I admit that we do need to do something about combating environmental change. OK, I think we all can admit that to an extent. But actually, when push comes to shove, if you can't eat and you can't eat a house and you can't have anything nice in life, as indeed some of the lovely viewers that have sent in their emails there are going to struggle to do going forward, how on earth are you going to actually manage to pay those bills? Is it worth it? Energy or environment over economy? I'm not sure that's the right answer. But anyway, right, has anyone got a taxi for Christies?
Taxi for Christies.
Well, that's my cue to leave the building and head off home. This was the week that one non-league football club couldn't work out whether or not they were supporting Ukraine. So, oh, dear me, look at that. For anyone who's listening on radio, it's a We Stand With Ukraine sign next to a No Standing sign. So, fantastic. Someone thought that through well. Nicola Sturgeon apologised to her own people when she said sorry to witches. Now, that's mean. That's mean, OK, but not necessarily untrue. Anyway, and the Taliban wished females of Afghanistan a happy International Women's Day on Twitter. Not that the women of Afghanistan knew about it, because they're forbidden by men from reading. So, there we go. Well, I'm afraid that's all for tonight. Thank you very much, everybody. The last 2 hours have absolutely flown by. Remember, I want your suggestions for next week's Challenge Christies. Email me, patrick at gbnews.uk. Thank you to my wonderful panellists, Rebecca Jane and Tom Skinner. And thank you for watching. I'll be back from 10 a.m. on Monday with To The Point. And, of course, Friday Night Feast returns at 7 p.m. next Friday. The brilliant Mark Dolan is next. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Hello. Rather changeable weather across the UK through this coming weekend, with showers or longer spells of rain. There will be some sunshine in between, but it will often be windy, particularly on Saturday night into Sunday. Now, many of us saw some heavy, persistent rain on Friday, and that was thanks to this cold front that pushed its way northwards, with some fairly strong winds across the UK as well, shown by the tightly packed isobars. But that rain, as I said, continued to clear its way northwards, so clearing the far north of Scotland through the night, clearing eastern England as well. And behind it, a lot of cloud around with some further showery outbreaks of rain. Some of that rain, again, could be on the heavy side, but with some dry spells in between. Winds won't be as strong as they were on Friday, so that could lead to 1 or 2 fog patches for Northern Ireland. Here it'll be quite chilly, but generally another mild night to come, temperatures holding well above freezing. So we're going to have a rather cloudy, disappointing start to the weekend then, with a lot of cloud and showery outbreaks of rain to start the day. All that rain will push its way northwards, and as it does, it should brighten up across much of Northern Ireland, England and Wales. So it's more in the way of sunshine for a time, just a few showers, which again could be locally heavy. Winds won't be as strong as they were on Friday, so we could see highs of 12 or 13 degrees, and in that sunshine it will feel quite warm, 9 or 10 degrees though across Scotland and Northern Ireland. But in the southwest, as we head into the afternoon, winds already starting to strengthen. We could see gusts of 50 or 60 miles an hour across parts of the southwest, with a warning in force for that. And